Hello everyone, this is an introduction to chapter 6. It's not a very challenging chapter, but it's introducing a new tools that you might want to use, such as switch statement, conditional operator, do statement, and for statement. And the purpose of all of them is not to do something new that you weren't able to do before, but rather to make it oftentimes more convenient. So let's start with a switch statement. So first of all, switch statement evaluates an expression and attempts to match the result to multiple cases. This is a replacement, abbreviated replacement to a certain kind of if-else. For example, if value x equals to 1, do this. If x equals, else if x equals 2, do that, and so on. So the sort of thing that, for example, you did for your Python project in previous semester, where you had a while loop and inside it you had a huge if statement doing the cases. And switch naturally abbreviates that sort of situation. So if we have a switch keyword, then expression. Expression is in parentheses, it evaluates to something. And there are some restrictions of the output data types, but we'll say it a little later. First thing, expression evaluates. In case it evaluates to value 1, do statement 1. In case it evaluates to statement 2, it does statement 2 if it evaluates to value 2, and so on. There is also a default. The default is analogous to else in the if-else situation. So if all of these cases were not matched by the value of this expression, then there is a default. Usually default is for things like this is not one of the valid options, or whatever you want to say in that case. Okay, so in the end of each statement, in each case, there should be a break. In the end of each block of code, there should be a break statement. And the break statement is there to transfer control to the end of this, to the very end of this switch statement. And if you miss the break, it's actually quite interesting, sometimes may be useful, but we'll play with it in the example later. So default case has no associated value. If nothing else matched, no previous cases matched, then it will have a certain behavior as you like it. You can define what to do then, basically. Well, switch expression can only evaluate to an integer, character, and enumerated type. For example, no floating points, and string type. So here is an example. So my option variable is apparently a character, and in case option is equal to a count will be increased, and then it will break. Similarly, in case option is equal to b count will be increased and break, so it goes outside of the switch statement. And there is a default, no cases match, if no cases match. So this is an example of use of a switch statement. Let us make our own example. Here is a nice little problem from the end of the chapter. Feel free to look it up, end of the chapter 6. So take a string from a user and count the number of vowels in it. All right, so first solution, plenty of boilerplate in, but we are learning to program, so that's okay. So scanner, input, new scanner system.in. Now I need a string variable, my string. Input dot next line, Oh, here it is, conveniently. And now I need to count the number of vowels in it. So I have to iterate through a string. I'm going to use a for loop for that, for int integer index I, starting at 0, I less than string dot length, my string dot length, and I plus plus. And here inside the loop is where my switch statement will be. And again, it's very boilerplated, so there got to be a better way to do it. Switch expression in parentheses. So what are we evaluating? I'll say my string dot charet I. So take the character from index I. Indexing begins at 0. Just to remind you. And then case. I think I need a case. This is A. Then what to do? Count plus plus. I need a count variable and break. So I need to set the count variable before the loop. That is what will count our vowels. And here int count set it. Okay. So what's wrong? I did. Let's run it. Okay. Oh, sorry, it wasn't initialized, my bad. Okay. Case A, then similar cases. Sorry about all this boilerplate input. I want to show you an example of a switch statement. A, E, so A, E, I, O, U. All right, and after we are done with our switch statement, notice how long it is, how bulky it looks, and inside it does the same thing. So again, as you transit to more experience, being a more experienced programmer, you will find better ways more often than not. So system dot out, actually over here outside of this one, system dot out dot println count. So we are counting vowels and then we're printing it. So where did this come from? After the for loop, I'm printing out the result. That should work. Okay. So let's try A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So that should return 3. And it does. Okay. Well, small way how we can make it better. For int I, my string input next line. So maybe over here, I want to do 2 lowercase. So whatever I'm entering will be the string will be rewritten as a lowercase string immediately, because if I had some capitalized letters, it wouldn't work. So Let me try again. What if I add just a couple of capitalized letters here? A, B, C, E, H, O. 6, so there were 3 in the initial one and 3 more vowels in this one. All right, and that's the example of a use of a switch statement, however, very boilerplate. Okay, for basic coding, and definitely I want you to know what is a switch statement.